What is up? The late night slots.
Hi.
Hey, how we doing?
Good. How are you?
Can you hear me okay? You see me in it? I'm
Yeah,
good,
I
I'm
can
good. You're a
actually.
little fuzzy.
Oh, am I? Oh, it's. Do you know
Yeah.
what it is? It's the. Hold on.
Yeah,
Hold
you're a
on.
little bit fuzzy. Okay, cool. Asa, what's up, man? Asa in the place. Our guest is there. She's just gone super fuzzy, so we'll get her on in a minute. But I hope everyone's doing well. Shall I boot her and bring her back in? Let's boot her and bring her back in, guys. Let's boot her and bring her back in. Let's do it. Remove her, bring her back in, man. Asa, what's happening, man? I got to show you the progress, man. The progress pictures. I've been training. Took some of your advice. If you need a PT, you need to speak to Asa Active there, man, for sure. We're just going to be taking an interview here, man. Here we go.
Yay.
That's better. That's better. Yeah,
Is
I
that
just kicked you
better?
out. Yeah, I kicked you out and brought you back in.
Okay, sick. Sorry, I'm on my parents' third world country Wi-Fi, so
Oh, right. Okay.
I've turned off the Wi-Fi. So
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Yeah. Actually, that's a lot better. Thanks for taking time out to join me here.
that's okay.
How's your
Thanks
evening
for
going?
having
All
me.
right.
Yeah, I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm not too bad. I've just been looking into a little bit about what you've been doing. But first of all, before we start, I need to ask you: have you rebranded? Because I
Yeah,
think I know you as another artist.
yeah,
As
and also I recognise you. So, yeah,
yeah,
we might have crossed paths, but my old
yeah,
artist name was Anissa.
yep, yep,
Is
yep.
that
That's
it?
it. Yeah, yeah. That's it. That's it. And because I remember the piano, you played the piano as
Yeah,
well,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I didn't really
Totally.
clock it until I watched the $1,000,000 video and it said it on the piano, and I'm like, I knew.
Exactly. Do you know what?
Right.
That's
Yeah.
why I left it in, because I was like, I've rebranded, but I also
Yeah.
don't want to lose like the 10 fans I have from before. So
Right,
it
right, right.
just, yeah,
Smart thinking.
smart.
So let's start with that actually. So what's with the rebrand and why did you decide to change?
Yeah, I've been like under my like birth name for like, let's say 5, 6 good years, and it was amazing. But I just feel like at some point you outgrow your birth name, and
Okay,
this
that's interesting.
project that's coming up, I
Mm,
felt like it deserved me to kind of sit down and think, who am I and who have I evolved into? And
mm.
I didn't want to just like change name to change name like for the sake of it, but we did the whole like marketing thing, like the thing
Okay.
you're supposed to do where you sit down and like brainstorm ideas. But
Yeah.
I knew that nothing would come by doing that. I knew that we had to just do it authentically and just sit and
Okay.
just wait for something to come like organically, and it did. And
Mm.
basically my Instagram bio has always been sing about it. So
Okay.
I woke up one morning and I was just like, sing about it spells say. And I was
Yeah.
like, that's it, that's me. Like it
Boom.
literally was right. Yeah,
Yeah.
it had to be that feeling. Otherwise, I didn't want to change
Right.
my
So
name.
it kind of embodies everything you're about,
Yeah, literally. I was like,
basically.
I've grown into someone that doesn't sugarcoat stuff, and I just say
Okay.
what I think and I sing what I
Mm.
think. And if I'm going through something, I sing about it. And yeah, it felt so right. So yeah, it was
Yeah.
a risk though. It was a big
Oh,
risk
okay.
because like people like yourself, like you just said, I kind of recognize you, but you know, when you
Yeah.
start building a brand and then suddenly you change the name, it's like, what are you doing? Like some people were like, you're
Mm.
crazy, but again, it just felt right. But we'd
Yeah.
like built to a certain point as well on Spotify, for example, and it was
Yeah.
scary to like lose the monthly listeners and to lose all the streams.
Yeah. Yeah.
And but it paid off. It really paid off. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. So you see the journey you've had between, because like you said, you've been doing music for years and years and years. You
yeah,
decided to
yeah,
sort of outgrow your own personal name and gone to
yeah.
more of a better representation as you. Obviously we can condense it down, but what has been happening for those in between those parts for you
Yeah.
personally? Has that affected your music?
What I was going through, you mean personally?
Yeah, yeah.
I think
If you want to discuss it.
it was more musical, I think. Well, personally as well,
Mm.
but I think musically in that time I was under Anissa. The last thing that I released
Mhm.
was an acoustic EP,
Okay.
and I was like really obsessed with like, I don't know why, but I wanted to release a body of music that was like all me. Like I wanted to play, I wanted to have written it, to sing it, to record it myself, like vocally arrange it myself and everything. I don't know why I was like obsessed with that. But so I worked on that. That was the last thing I released. And then
Mhm.
once it was like that body of work was anchored in time, I was like, you can move on now. So
Yeah.
I like moved on musically, and I like experimented with like so many different producers. It went like really wrong before it went right, kind of thing. Because it was hard to find a sound that was like authentically me, but enough, like paying homage enough to the people that I loved growing up, like my inspirations. So that's what I was like working on for years, basically, was my sound. And also like the live aspect of things, because I feel like as Anissa did not tour a lot. Anissa didn't, well, she did. I don't, why am I referring to myself in like the third person now?
In the third person,
It's like an out of body experience. No, like I think in the early years of my career as Anissa, I neglected the live part of it. And I woke up one morning and I was like, you don't perform enough. Like, you can't call yourself a performer because you actually aren't on stage enough. You're behind the scenes, you're like working really, really hard, but you're not on stage. And I think there's a point where you've got to like let go and just be like, it doesn't matter if it goes wrong. To kind of learn and perfect your craft, you have to go wrong on stage. And
of course, yeah, I agree.
You know what I mean? So we spent like years and years just going out and singing anywhere we could, like where there was no audience, where people were like throwing stuff at you, like,
oh wow,
yeah,
that
like, we went
wow.
we went through it, and then to like build, and then, you know, get like my dream tours. Like I toured with Boyz II Men last year, and yeah, but you have to like do the shit.
That's quite interesting, actually. You said that you had to go back and perform and build your performance skill and your confidence, and then you've gone from that to basically being on tour with Boyz II Men. How the hell what happened in between, you know?
It was just, for that, we just networked our ass off. My best friend is my manager now, so I had old management when I was Anissa, and then she naturally took over because she has a massive passion for music and she is my #1 fan, so it was really natural. So when it was her, actually, when she came on board, she was like, you haven't performed enough, like let's just go out and sing. And I was terrified, and we did that for like 3 years. We'd just go out every night, we'd call up venues and be like, do you have a piano? They'd say yeah, and we'd be like, cool, get my name down, we're on our way. And we did that like literally every night in London, and got like the night bus home, and yeah, all them late night Mackie D's. It was not good. It wasn't a good time. I put on like
part of the grind.
Yeah, right? And then and then we built up the Boyz II Men thing. We flew to Vegas basically to meet my favorite singer from Boyz II Men. We kind of had like a meeting with him, but nothing was set in stone. So everyone was like, you lot are crazy, you're just catching a flight to go
going on a whim.
You don't even know if you're meeting him. We were like, this is how it works in music. Like when the man says come, like you just get on a plane and you go. Like you find a way to pay for your ticket and you go. And that's what happened. And it like worked out for the best. We ate burgers with Wanye and like ate milkshakes. He listened to all my songs. Like he's like now basically my mentor in music. So yeah, it's insane. And then so when they were touring, they were like jump on tour. So it was crazy.
Yeah, just come through.
Yeah.
Come through. That's kind of weird, actually, when it's so casually done, but it's almost like someone saying, I'm having a party, roll through. Yeah, I'm gonna roll through. You know what I mean? Like,
natural, yeah.
Well, I suppose it's very organic then as well. You know,
exactly.
Sometimes things like this happen between, the labels organise the meeting for this and for that, and you try to make it work. It never has the same authenticity.
Exactly. It doesn't have the same taste. Like this is like the reward for the years of like graft, basically. That's how I see it. It's no label put this together, it's no live agent put this together. Like you can pay for tours like this, but we didn't. Like,
of course.
This was our grind, and it just means so much more, and it felt so much more authentic. And
you had a similar experience with Brian McKnight, you said?
Brian, well, I didn't open any shows for Brian.
Or like he flew out or something, I heard.
But yeah, Brian heard a cover that I did of his song on YouTube, basically. And he was like, you're amazing. And I was like, oh my God, you're like one of my idols. Like, what is going on? And then we flew out to LA to do something else. It wasn't to see Brian. And we got out of a label meeting, and I had a WhatsApp, and it said, I see that you made it to LA. So I go in the WhatsApp, and the number wasn't saved. It was just like a profile picture. And
Yeah,
the
yeah.
profile picture was Brian McKnight. And I was like, this must be a joke. Like, it's one of my friends from
Yeah,
back
yeah,
home.
yeah.
I said to my manager, like, someone's pretending to be Brian texting. So I text back and I was like, yeah, we're in LA. Like, do you want to sit and talk music and like share music? He was like, yeah. You guys should come to my house. I was like, okay.
Yeah, a bit suspect.
Yeah, cool. Where do you live? And I was like, this is the bit where it's going to be like April Fool's or whatever. And then basically he sent this address. And I was like, oh God, we're going to have to go, but it won't be him. Like, we're going to get in trouble.
Right.
Like, it's fishy. So we hopped in an Uber and it was like an hour ride. And the whole way there, I was like, we're going to get murdered. Like, this is how it all ends for us. No one knows where we are. We don't know where we are. And then
usual positivity. Yep.
yeah. I was like, this is it. I love you, Mom. I love you. And then we pull up to this huge gated community, like in the hills. And there was like a police sheriff down like at the bottom of the hill. And he was like, who are you here to see? We were like, Brian McKnight. And then he was like, cool, let me just call him. And I was like, oh my God. Like, we didn't even prepare, because
I think you know what, it actually probably has worked out for the best, because you won't be getting in your head. You're so concerned about not being murdered that
right,
the thing would have actually worked out okay. Yeah, so
I would have proper stressed out. I would have been like, I can't do this is too much of a big deal. So then he calls Brian. Brian's like, yeah, like, she's scheduled to come through. And we were like, okay, cool. Then he pulls up to Brian's like mansion, and Brian McKnight is waiting in his pajamas and his slippers in front of his house. And he's like, come in. And I was just like, oh my God, it's not a joke. I was like, I knew my friends couldn't pull this off.
Yeah, that's a bit elaborate.
So yeah, and then we ended up in his house. He was like filming a documentary. He was like, I want you to be in it. And we were like, oh my God, what's happening? And then we talked music. We sat down in his little studio. I played him loads of stuff. And then next time we were in LA was even more magical, because I got to write a song with him in his house as well. Like, it was insane, around his piano. And it was where he wrote, my mind's gone blank. Anytime. Sorry, my mind just went blank.
Right, yeah,
He wrote Anytime. And for me, like, those experiences make my career. They're like the height of my.
Of course, yeah.
They're the things that I hold like so close to my heart. Like, yeah.
Well, it's something that can't be replicated as well. I mean, every artist and creative's journey is different. Yeah. So to have an experience like that is more important, I imagine, than just doing what everyone else is doing, because that changes your whole mindset, and of course influences your music as well. And Neo as well. You got, I think you supported Neo as fucking hell. So let me just get this. Let me do all the name dropping now.
Okay.
So Brian McKnight, Boyz II Men, Neo, Brandy, and Ashanti. Have I missed anyone out? Those 5?
That's it. That's a good amount.
Just those 5. Those 5. Okay, fantastic. Yeah, so it's very and this actually makes me think as well, because I always have this conversation with some people that I know from the UK who are artists, and they also do R&B. Do you think there's that same level of unity in the UK for R&B and soul? Or do you think it's mostly the kind of hip hop, rap, sort of grime? There's that unity from that side, but when it comes to the other side of R&B and soul, it's not the same as the experiences you're having in America.
Do you know what? I think, weirdly enough, like, I wouldn't have brought this up, but I feel like you're right. I feel like sometimes I get more like props and like praise from America than the UK sometimes. I don't know why that is. I know, like, I always get told my music has an American sound, even though I'm from the UK. So I think that might be why. But in terms of the scene, I think, like, I don't want to say R&B is making a comeback in 2020, because I feel like it never left. I feel like it just got a bit neglected by labels and maybe radio stations, and that's why we didn't hear it as much. But I feel like it's coming back, as in it's coming back to our ears, because it never left. But I feel like the more we hear it, the more we can, like, unite in R&B. Do you know what I mean? Whereas before, when we weren't hearing it, it was hard to be like a collective. It was hard to be like grime is in our ears all the time, and I love grime, but it means that they can be a scene and they can be one. But yeah, R&B, I feel like there wasn't enough of us to be a scene.
Do you think as well it's changed of people's perceptions of relationship and how people interact now socially has changed to when we had the 2000s, for example, and everyone was all in their feelings, and now everyone's kind of like,
Yeah.
girls turn up, you know, what else did I say? Men are trash, like all that kind of
Yeah,
friction between people. The friction from a relationship point of view has definitely changed, and I feel like maybe R&B isn't as prominent because of what's happening socially. Do you think that's the case, or am I just being too pessimistic?
I've never thought of it like that, but it might, yeah, possibly. I feel like it's maybe, did it become like uncool to be in your feelings, like as a male? Maybe not as a female. Like, I think females are always allowed to like cry, aren't they? They're always allowed to be emotional. Maybe males are less allowed in 2020, and that's not cool because, yeah, R&B is all about being in your feelings. I feel like if you're releasing R&B and it's kind of like half-hearted and it's not all in your feelings, is it really R&B? Like, that's what defines a genre for me.
Yeah, I would say so, because a lot of talking about R&B, a lot of it is very much like relationship and love centric. So it's all about feelings or breakups or this or that. So, and it also brings me to a question that asks a lot of my R&B artists I interview is that, do you presently believe in love? And if you do, what is love to you? Because that's all you guys ever sing about. So I'm like, you guys must have some
you're right.
knowledge of.
Do I believe in love? I feel like people mistake love a lot. So I feel like it exists, but I think there's a lot of people that think they are in it, but they're actually not. And I feel like people think it's a very ordinary thing to be in love, but I think it's extraordinary. Like, I feel like if people thought that it was extraordinary, they would find it would be easier to find, because I feel like because they think it's just something that should happen overnight, and like, oh, I like this guy and I like this guy and I like this girl and like I like this next girl, and oh, this relationship's finished but I'm with a next girl the day after. I'm like, that's not love. Like, if you love someone, you truly love them, you can't be with someone the next day. Like, if you just broke up with, do you know what I mean? So I feel like there's a lot of people who think they're in love, and a lot of I feel like it's like marriage. Like, I feel like everyone gets married, so it's become this thing that's ordinary, but actually I feel like marriage, and to make a marriage work, that's extraordinary. Like, it's not an ordinary thing. Like, and I feel like people just make it this thing that you're all supposed to do, and it's supposed to be all like rainbows and stuff, but it's so hard. It's so hard to find
it's
someone.
quite interesting actually, because I find the opposite way, because I'm engaged myself, so I feel like people don't get married as much, but people have kids more. But they think marriage is a bigger. They think marriage is a bigger
it's
commitment.
a bigger commitment. I agree, because
than kids.
I would like, I'll put it out there, I'd happily have kids because I want kids, but I don't want to be married. So I'm like, I'm trying to figure out how that works as a woman in 2020.
Well, yeah, I mean, to me, and just based on my own experiences and stuff, I just find that, you know, if you get married and something goes wrong, the only people who are hurt are those two people, really.
Yeah.
If you have a child with someone and you're not even suited to that person, you still have to raise a child for 18 years minimum, and you still have to comprehend with that. And I feel like that is a bigger commitment than getting married, because, to be honest, if you get married to someone, it doesn't work out, you guys get divorced, you could potentially never see each other again if you don't want to. But if you have kids, you're going to be tied to that person, no matter how awful that breakup was. You're always going to be tied to someone. So I feel like that's a bigger commitment. So I feel that people who are more relaxed about just having kids willy-nilly, pardon the pun, then it's just,
that's when it gets complicated.
It's a bit confusing to me, but these are my own opinions, obviously.
No, you're right. It's I didn't mean it in like, I think that having kids is less a commitment. I do agree with you, but I just find it hard to, it depends how you see your family situation. Like, my family situation, I see it as me and kids, but I don't really see a guy in the picture, so that's weird. So it's like, it's strange. So I'm kind of like, I guess I'm like figuring out how that would happen, and how and there's a lot of pressure, isn't there? Like, society makes you think that that's actually not all right. And like, yeah, I'm just trying to figure out how that would even work. But yeah, but I think that,
well,
I do believe in love, to answer your question, but I think love takes so many different forms. And again, society has made you think that love, firstly, is between a man and a woman, or love in that sense is between two people that are in a sexual relationship. But I feel like there's so many people that I could spend my life with that I might not be in a sexual relationship with, and might not be of the same sex. Do you see what I mean? Am I explaining that well? I feel like basically there's like as many versions of normal as there are people on the planet. So everyone trying to conform to the same, like, man and a woman living together and having kids is like just so dated. Like, but I as in, where do I fit in that? I'm not really sure, but we'll see. Time will tell.
Taking it onto your single, because the single $1 Million is about breaking free of a relationship, if I've understood it correctly. And as it's R&B, it's so straight in the feelings there, you know. And it also made me think and bring up a question about how is it difficult as what I would define you as a creative, is it difficult to maintain a relationship as a creative, especially if it's with someone who isn't a creative and someone who is working in a more traditional workplace? And what's your view on that?
Yeah, I do think it's super hard. I've never been in a relationship with a creative, so I only know that side of it, because I can't think of anything worse than mixing like music with that. Like when I'm in a studio, like I never get hit on ever, because I give out this vibe in a studio that's like, don't hit on me, I'm here because I love your music. And it works, because like, I don't know, I never get hit on basically, and it's great. I love it. Like in the studio, because that's the vibe. Like I'm just here to music, and that's how I want it to be. But yeah, I had like an awful experience, and $1 Million is kind of about this experience. Like I was with this guy, like long term, and he was just like really jealous and possessive, and I couldn't do my music because I was with him. And I think that it was a long time ago, but it's like stayed with me. And since then, I'm like, if you're not adding to my situation and to my feelings, if you're, in terms of $1 Million, like if you're not making me feel $1 Million, I don't want to be with you. I don't need you in my life, basically.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing about, I think that's one of the things about relationship. The person who you're with is supposed to add value, a certain degree of value to the relationship, and understand. And it is difficult. Obviously, I do understand it's difficult, especially depending on what age you are. It will factor into what your future wants to be. And if you want to grow with this person, then obviously if you're a, you know, quote unquote, struggling artist, musician, painter, whatever it may be, and your partner is working in a bank, you know, gonna definitely, you know, clash. Especially, it is more about what you, about how the future wants to be, because whatever you think of the world, money makes the world go around. And if you're always just trying to do it and it's the long haul, it's an interesting one. It's definitely something which is something for thought. But obviously it goes back into a lot of relationships that people get involved with relationship and they haven't healed from their previous relationship.
Yeah, definitely.
Or situationship in this case. Yeah.
But I feel like as a creative, like I talk about music, but I feel like all the creative industries follow a similar path. And I feel like if you have like a normal job, it's hard to. I still have people in my close entourage that are like, what do you do every day? Like they just don't get like that you put in hours into your graft and you don't get paid. You don't know. Like one day I'll be like, oh, I'm writing songs for this girl who just got signed to Universal, and she's going to be a really big deal. And by the end of the week, I'm like, oh, I've written 3 songs for her. They're like, okay, so you've spent your week with this girl, and did you get paid? I'm like, no, but maybe if she chooses my songs, I might get paid. And they're like, oh, okay. And then her album's just come out and my songs aren't on there. And I told one of my friends this the other day, and they were like, so you spent like weeks on weeks with her, like developing her craft, but your songs are not on her album. I'm like, yeah. Like, and they're like, how do you live like that? And it's like, we do it because we love it, but you have to be with someone that understands that it's
for sure.
It's it's just a crazy industry, isn't it?
It's funny you just mentioned songwriting as well, but some of yours have actually worked pretty well because I mean you've song wrote stuff for Ariana Grande, for Dino, who else? I think a few more as well. But those are the two names that stuck out for me.
Yeah.
Which one did you write?
So he did a feature with this girl who rose to fame after she did a show in the US with, do you know Ellen DeGeneres?
Oh yeah, cool.
She did a Nicki Minaj song. Do you remember? She was called Sophia Grace, and she was teeny tiny. So she became this sensation, and she wanted to do pop music. So she took one of my tracks that I'd written with the Beat Freaks in their studio in London. Yeah, and so she did it, and then Dino and I think it was it just Dino? He jumped on the track. So so it ended up as a feature with him and her.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And the Ariana Grande one?
Yeah, that was crazy. That was my first ever trip to LA, and we were working on my project at the time. So we were just writing, and that morning, one of the producers I was working with, Parker, he was like, "Come to my room, I've got this idea." And I was like, "Okay, come in." And then he played me like the beginning of that song, piano. And I was like, "Yeah, this is sick." And I remember thinking like, this is not for me. Like you can recognize a song is a good song.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
But you're like, this is not for me. But I was like, let's roll with it. And then we went to the studio. It was me, him, Harmony, this amazing producer who's from the UK, but he's based in LA, and Chipmunk. And we just wrote it. And then we were like, it's a vibe, it's a bop. And I was just like, it's a bop, but it's not my bop. Like, and then a couple of years later, I think he played it to her when she was picking songs for her new album, basically her first album. And she loved it. She cut it straight away. And my claim to fame is that she didn't change a thing from my demo. So I'm very proud of that. And then it ended up on her first album. So it was.
Well, this is the thing, is what you said earlier, is that some people are like, oh, you can do that all day and nothing can come of it. But when it does come of it, sometimes it's really big.
Exactly, yeah. And it's for moments like that you keep going, because you're like, it can happen, and nothing is impossible. So you have to like believe that it will pay off. And it's not always, like I said before, the big wins that it's sometimes like your measure of success is so different to like the public's. So sometimes the public needs like a statistic or like a figure or something quantifiable, like a certain number of streams or like a chart position, for them to be like, oh, she's successful, when really you've done stuff that makes you feel on top of the world, but they don't recognize. So I think that's why sometimes the industry is difficult, because you've done stuff, you've achieved stuff that you're like over the moon about, and your mum's still like, babe, when are you getting a real job? And you're just like, oh my God. So yeah, it's
those ones. We've all been there for sure, man.
Yeah.
For sure, we've been there.
Did you used to have a music blog?
So I used to do a music blog. I used to be on radio for a few years, few different stations, and now I'm curating Spotify playlists as well.
Okay.
Other stuff as well. So I've been in the industry for a while, so I've seen a lot, and I've seen how it's changed. And in the last sort of 5-10 years, I've always been a big advocate of UK music. Yeah. But the way that UK music has gone at the moment is that beyond I could ever imagine, really, because of the fact of artists are having these relationships with US artists. Yeah. People are doing their own shows. Where I'm currently working on something at the moment, and I'm talking to a lot of people in Europe, in Holland, and America, and all these other places, and they're like, "Yeah, we know about UK music. We know this guy, we know that person," and you just sometimes you don't really think past, quote unquote, the ends of of where it's going. So, and just what you described earlier about your experience with Brian McKnight and Boyz II Men and stuff, I think people need to always realize that things are bigger. You don't know who's listening, you don't know who's watching, and that's a big thing personally that I've experienced, because to me, I'm just like blinkers on, and I'm just, like you said, I'm just working on whatever I'm working,
and you focus
on
whatever
people recognize different. Exactly. And what people recognize might be different to what you recognize, is what you said as well. I agree with that quite a bit, because you might think this single is something that is personifying you. This is what's important to you. But someone might say, oh, but you open for Boyz II Men, and that's bigger. But they've probably come at different stages of your life where they mean different. It doesn't take it away from how much of an impact it is. It's just how much is of an impact to you as an artist.
Yeah, and how people perceive things, I think. Yeah, definitely. But I feel like as well, we're quite lucky because I feel like before the UK was just small on the map, and now I think there's a certain charm to like being from the UK. You kind of get, I don't know what it is. Like sometimes we feel it when we go to America and we say, oh, thank you so much. I remember you playing at the Elgin. Thanks so much. See, that was one of the shows where
you were just like, yeah, we'll come in.
No one's going to come. And you came. So thank you so much. What was I saying? Yeah, I feel like we were pretty small on the map before. And now there's a certain charm, to being from the UK. I feel when we go to the US and we're like, oh, we're only here for a few weeks. Like, do you want to work? It's got a certain like charm to it. And I feel like the US especially is looking so much towards the UK. So
basically, they rate us now, innit? Before they weren't rating man, and now we've grown up.
Now they're rating us.
Now they're rating us.
And we're like, do we really need you anymore? Yeah. Yeah,
that's why Drake's doing songs with Headie One. Tory Lanez is doing stuff. You know, when you think about the grand scheme of things, we were always good. It's just a long graft, and this is a little bit about what you said earlier about the fact that everyone's like, okay, but what are you doing? It's just grime, especially, is something that is consistently built over years and years and years, and it's going to get real recognition now and real exposure now, and people are like, well, this is why I've been grinding for years, and it obviously makes the further the next generation things a little bit easier for them.
Yeah.
So that's what's important. That's what's important as well, in my opinion. So the EP is going to be coming out as well. So talk to me for the EP. Are you working with ADP for this EP or previously?
No, this one. Yeah.
Okay, because ADP's dope, man. Like I've chatted with ADP, and he produced a lot of Krypton Conan stuff as well.
Yeah.
And, he's magic on them keys.
Yeah, he is. We did a session quite a while ago, and we did this song. And again, it was not supposed to be for me, but the same way as it happens the other way around, it can happen this way around. Like you're in there, you're writing for a pitch, and suddenly like you connect to the lyrics, you connect to the song, and you're like, I am not giving this to anybody. Like, so that's what happened with this song. I was like, I want this to be mine, basically. And ADP is on that one, and I got it co-produced by a guy called Bath, 808 Bath, who's like one of my producers. So he added some finishing touches on that one. But yeah, I'm super excited for this EP to come out. It's been just such a long time coming. I feel like I've been working on it for so long, and I hope I've not like lost anyone along the way. But it's coming, basically. What
can we expect from it then? The sound?
So the sound,
the title.
So it's called Rewind.
Nice.
And I feel like I've not said that before, so a little exclusive.
Exclusive.
And then, it's I would describe it as it's like heartfelt but chilled still, and it's kind of like new soul. I would say it's got a 2020 sound, but also pays homage to 90s R&B, which is like my favorite genre of music. So that's kind of what you can expect. Like if you love Million Bucks, then hopefully you're going to love the EP. That's how I see it. But I feel like I tried to make it so that every song still was very different, because I feel like there was, when you go and see labels and stuff, they're very intent on like asking you what your sound is, and I hear a lot of like albums and EPs that every song sounds the same, and even though it can be an artist that I love so much, by the end of the EP I'm like, there was no like variation in any of the songs, and I didn't want that to happen to me. So we'll see. I tried really hard to give a different side of me in each song, basically. So
because I think that's more fair, because it's supposed to be a project of your work. It's supposed to show versatility to some degree, and it's like you're saying, if it all sounds the same, it's just like, why can't I just listen to a bunch of singles that you're going to release as opposed to an EP of your work, an album, or whatever it may be? So I think that's very important, actually, And is there any features that we can expect on it that we know about?
Yes, I don't know if I'm allowed to say that.
Yeah, you might as well. You might as well just drop one.
I'll just drop one. So, do you know Young Spray?
Of course, yeah, I know Young Spray.
Yay!
Yeah,
So
yeah, Young Spray.
basically, I was looking for a feature for the song I did with ADP,
Yeah.
and literally, like, my manager is crazy. She was like, anyone you want, just choose. And I was like, okay, but she's the kind of girl that's like, she just dreams big, basically. She makes shit happen. So she was like, just who do you want? And like, we'd basically just been to the Ultimate Seminar, which is, by the way, an amazing, an amazing seminar. Anyone that's watching that wants insights into the industry, it's every November, and there's just like panels and panels of like industry experts, and it's sick. And they have artists on the panel, and he was there, and he was just like, he was just such a clown. Like, he made everyone laugh. Like, he was amazing. Like, he was humble.
And I've met him. He's interesting.
He's so funny. So she was like, let's sit and listen to Spray. And I listened to him, and I was like, I love him. Like, I literally love how he spits. And I love, for me, like, grime and rap artists, for me, it's about your flow, the sound of your voice, and like what you're talking about. And what I was listening to of Spray's, I just loved. And I was like, can we message Spray? And she was like, you sure? I was like, yeah. And she was like, I'm down if you're down. So we did. And he was like, I love the track, let's do it. And yeah, he came to the studio. He, bless him, like, I was like nervous because I was like, I don't want to have to ask Spray like what he's gonna spit on my song, because it's a bit it's a bit disrespectful kind of thing. So I was like, so I won't know what he's gonna spit before we get to the studio. So what if I don't like it? And my manager was like, we just have to roll with it. And I was like, oh my God. And basically, like, he was so sweet that before the session, he called me and he was like, I'm so excited. And then he started spitting his bars down the phone. Which
to check. Like, that's probably good, yeah.
It was so cute because I was like reassured, and I was like, it's sick. Like, do not change a thing. And yeah, he didn't. And he came and he was like really professional and delivered. And yeah, it's, I think it's going to be my third single, I think.
Yeah, he's got a very unique voice as well. So I think, when you were describing it to me, I was just like, in my mind, I'm thinking the kind of Ja Rule and Ashanti thing, just because I know how his is. So that's what's the first thing. I don't know if it's going to sound like that, but that's how I imagine it to sound in my head.
Weirdly enough, like, the song with Spray is probably like the most pop song on the album. So yeah, it might surprise everyone. Okay. Yeah, it's probably not the feature that you think it's going to be, which is weird. And yeah.
And when's it going to be out? Because I know obviously a lot of things have changed due to the pandemic and all that kind of stuff. So have you got a date for it or?
Yeah, so the next single is not that one with Spray, but the next single is called High, and it's out on the 6th of November. So
cool.
So I'm really excited for that. And then the single with Spray should be out sort of 6 to 8 weeks after that, but I don't have a date.
So like Christmas sort of time.
Yeah. Little Christmas present from me and Spray.
And the EP itself?
The EP itself is, I think, March 2021. I think, March or February or March. But
right, let's hope we make it there at this stage. Bloody hell.
I know. I honestly, like, I'm already gutted that, like, I'm finally like releasing something and I can't get out and perform it, because that is what you do all this for, to go out on stage and like perform it to people, and we're not going to be able to do that, and it just pisses me off so much. But I guess we've got to be grateful for just like being healthy and alive, basically. But
yeah, and just adapting to it as well. I see a lot of people doing stuff now with YouTube and putting stuff on YouTube and premiering it on that kind of area, and doing things with Twitch as well. Like I see some people doing certain shows on Twitch. Which
I've not heard of that. I'll have to research.
Yeah. So because
Twitch,
that's what I'm working with at the moment. Yeah, that's what I'm working with at the moment.
Right.
Well, I was going to ask you something else, but I think you've kind of covered a lot of what we were talking about.
I talk a lot. You have to like stop.
Yeah, it's good. It's good just to really understand the artist as well, and it's helpful when they're able to formulate a sentence. I know that I know that what I was looking at actually is your YouTube. I know that there was a stage where it's just pure covers, which was like 6 or 7 years ago, and then there's $1 Million, and I'm thinking to myself,
what happened?
What the fuck happened in between these time periods,
So I used to do loads of covers, and was really amazing, because when we did the rebranding, obviously everything that had Anissa written on it, we had to kind of take down, because I really wanted to. I was like, if we're doing this, we've got to just do it. And kind of not be afraid of deleting things. And like I've grown, and if there's a particular cover that I was really attached to, I can do it again, and hopefully I can do it better and give it a new spin. And so we started erasing videos from my YouTube channel, thinking no one would notice. I was like, no one will know. And then I started getting loads of messages like, we're searching for this song, we dance to this song every day. We're getting married and we wanted this song at the wedding and we can't find it. So it was like really cute, because I had to make some songs public again that I'd taken off. And it was just nice to know people were actually listening, basically. But yeah, basically it's going to come, but I think I'm going to do a whole new YouTube page and brand new covers and yeah.
Okay. And I wanted to ask you as well, I know that we spoke about a few different artists, we spoke about Americans. Who are your top 3 UK artists that you like, or that you would like to work with as well?
Yeah, at the moment, probably more males than females. I don't know why, but I love Kaleem Taylor.
Okay.
Do you know him?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, his voice is like, you know, one of those voices that you hear and you have to stop and like find out who it is, and then you're just hooked. So Kaleem, I've like always been a massive Angel fan. Like, I think he's so underrated. I think he's like one of our greatest like songwriters and artists of the UK. And like, it's just nice to see him doing really well in America now, like doing mad features over there and like writing for American artists. I love Angel. We were supposed to hook up musically, but yeah, it's not happened yet, but fingers crossed. I'd love to work with him. And there's a guy called Dacom that I love. I discovered online as well, and we went to his little EP listening party, and the EP is on repeat since then because he's so sick as well. He's a writer as well. Females, I like, who do I like at the moment? Oh yeah, I'm probably female wise, I don't know why, but more US. So like I love Snow Allegra and like her. LMA, exactly. Yeah, people like LMA is, again, like for someone like me, I'm just so grateful for, because I'm like, she's literally doing R&B. She's literally doing what people said no one would want to hear on the radio, and she's making songs people said would never be on radio, and she's on there all day every day, and it's just, yeah, it's inspiring. So yeah,
that's it, man. R&B, oh my days. In the feelings on R&B, man. That's all I think of, man. But yeah, I think at the moment it's not like you said earlier. I don't think it's making a comeback, but I'm definitely getting a lot more presence of R&B. The playlist as well, but it's just a bit of a mix actually. I think R&B and soul, but there is some issues now. Some people just try to put Afro beats and everything, or that's another story really. But yeah, it's definitely something which I see visually just growing a lot. Artists are popping up more. Like I said, I know a few artists myself who are very talented, and their voices, I'll probably try and send you one to have a listen to. Yeah, so it's just, it's a good, the way I think about it is the scene as a whole is growing, it's had substantial growth, it's getting substantial support, people are making that dough, were getting the shows. And now everyone just uplift together, man, and that's what it's about, really. Same way the Americans do. The Americans just fucking dominate everything, so we need to really dominate where we're at.
Yeah.
And you're not from London, are you? From Manchester?
No,
right?
from Manchester. Yes, I'm here at the moment in Manchester for like half term. But I love London so much. Like, there's something just magic about being in London. Like, it's just way more inspiring than Manchester for me. So it's just great. Yeah. Like, it rains all day here. Like, it's honestly,
it rains a lot in London too.
No, I swear to God, come up north and you will be so happy to go back to London. It's grey and it rains from morning to night.
It's funny actually. I spent five years up there.
Did you?
Yeah, it was fun. I mean, I probably only came back to run out of money. I was studying up there for a while. And then I stayed a little bit longer and whatnot. But it's definitely different from London. But I do like the vibe up there. So. But it's just, to be honest, it's too small for me. Like, after a while, I'm like, I'm kind of seeing everything.
That's it.
So
and I grew up in like a village in Manchester, not even Manchester. So like a tiny village where like everyone knows your business. Everyone, like, it's
like Bury or something.
Say again.
Like Bury.
No, Bury's big. Bury's like.
Oh, very big. Okay.
Yeah, Bury is very big. Yeah. No, like, I'm from like this tiny village where everyone just knows your business, and people yeah, I can't. I don't want to be mean, but yeah, just no.
Yeah, you need to grow it.
You
Yeah,
need
yeah,
to
I
outgrow
understand. Yeah,
your environment and just. I've
exactly.
not
It's
moved.
ironic actually. A lot of people who are mainstream, talents, inverted commas, come from these small places
Yeah,
you've never heard of,
yeah,
but they just build something there, and then they always want to go to London and try and
yeah,
build from London. And I feel like the hunger's more than it would be from
exactly.
London. I think sometimes as Londoners we feel a bit entitled. We know everything's around us. It's about when we choose to do it, as
Yeah,
opposed to if you come from the outskirts, you work harder. Like if you look at someone like Bugsy Malone, for example,
yeah.
he just work harder because he knows,
You've got to,
So
it's like you've got something to prove. I think that's how I felt when I got to London. I was like,
okay,
people have been here and they've been performing for years at this show and that show, and I'm not from here. I didn't know grime before I came to London. I'd never heard of grime. I didn't listen to
okay.
One Extra before I came to London. This was like 10
Oh,
years
that's
ago. Yeah, but it was ages ago. But yeah, I was a baby. Like I feel like I was like educated in the sense that I had my inspirations and I listened to music every single day. But I came to London and I was like, there is a bigger scene than I ever could imagine. And yeah.
I think yeah. I mean, it's definitely important, but there's more opportunities, like you're saying, and just I think there's probably a bigger appreciation for music as a whole, and there's just more platforms. And I feel now, especially, actually, no, let me rephrase that. Now it's a bit up and down in the sense of some people do want to work, some people do want to support others, but we live in this world at the moment where everyone's like, "You're my guy," trying to be like you, kind of energy, and
Yeah.
that. Yeah, I mean, I'm not. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
It's an unusual one. It's an unusual one, and obviously the word clout gets thrown around quite a lot. So
Yeah.
it's an unusual, but the real always goes to the top. The cream always goes to the top,
Yeah.
essentially. So that's talent and good people as well. So they always
Rise.
they
Yeah,
win.
I like to think so. Sometimes I don't see it as much and it makes me sad. But yeah, but I like in an ideal world, I like to think that talent is basically what it's all about. And if you've got something to share, that if you work hard enough, you'll be able to share it with everyone and get your music out there. But I think also there's a lot of money involved. I feel like we live in an age where you can basically pay for things, and I think that's sad. I feel like if you come from money, you can actually buy your way into some of these successes. And
yeah, great,
I don't think that's fair at all. I feel like it is. There was a period, maybe not now so much, but a few years ago, where I feel like talent was 1% of what you needed to succeed.
Yeah. But now it's more like 3%.
But now it's more. It is, yeah, and that it needs to stay like that, I feel. But yeah,
there's a question I want to ask you because it is quite an unusual one, because as a singer, as a female, you're in. I always think R&B and soul and these kind of genres. It seems to be, you can correct me if I'm wrong, a bit easier to be a female in those spaces as opposed to being involved as a rapper in, let's say a Stefflon Don or Shabo or a Little Sims. In that kind of arena, it's a lot more difficult to people to recognize and give you the accolades you deserve. Do you think there's a difference in the two, or do you think it's just across the board?
as in like it's easier in that genre to make, like in R&B?
In that genre, yeah, because I feel like in other genres sometimes you almost have to work harder in that space to be recognized as a good rapper or one of the best rappers or whatever it may be.
I feel like it's the other way around. So
Really? That's interesting.
I feel like if you're doing R&B, it's like maybe not now, but the stigma behind R&B before was that, not so long ago, was that you'll never make it to radio and no one wants to hear R&B. This is what I was hearing constantly in and out of labels all the time. Like you had to put a twist on R&B to be able to put it out there. For example, I'll leave it anonymous, but my manager went to see a big music exec in London not so long ago, and he manages a female R&B artist from the UK, and she played him a track. She played him $1 million, and he said, this is great, but it's R&B. And she was like, yeah, it's R&B. And he was like,
Right.
this was his face. And she was like, are you joking? And she left the
Yeah.
meeting and she was like, don't want to work with him. Like, she literally,
Yeah.
like, he was like a bit of a, like an idol, like a god for her. And
Yeah.
after that, she was like, what does he mean this is R&B? Like, what do I have to do? Put R&B onto a trap beat or something? And actually,
Yeah.
she realized that's what he meant, because the person that he manages has kind of like, is singing R&B, but over a different kind of beat. And she was like, that's really cool. Like, you're inventing a new genre, and you're, you know, redefining R&B maybe. But what's wrong with classic R&B? That we still want that out there. We still need that out there. You don't, not everyone has to twist up R&B to be able to get it out there. And
but I suppose that's more of a supply and demand issue, and then also the fact of that they want something which is going to be guaranteed.
to like,
We're going to get listens, we're going to get streams, we're going to get this, because we know 100%. I think as a business, they never really want to take
a risk.
They're like, it's good, but it's not how is it going to get all the streams? And they're not willing to really take that risk, even though it's not a risk.
No,
you know what I mean?
But don't you feel like it's like a vicious circle? Because they say like, you know, no one wants to hear R&B. No, there's no more R&B fans. Have you been to like one of these R&B concerts, like when like the 90s gods come over and do stuff?
I thought you might bring that up. But what's interesting is I went to one of them. I think it was Neo.
Yeah.
And ironically, all the people who open up for Neo or 112 or whatever, it was guys like Aiden Coker, and like there was UK guys. But it's so hard to see a big name UK R&B artist have a show like that and open up with, other UK artists. So I think that's just bonkers how the US are cool with it doing it that way, but then the UK guys can't bring it. I feel like, I don't know if it's like, I can't believe I'm saying this. If it's a macho and R&B, mad. But I don't know if it's a macho kind of issue or ego kind of thing. Because when I spoke about my friend, he was like, it's people don't want to feel like they're competing. Almost like the fan base is so small, but it's not.
Nah, and do you know what? I feel like as an artist, whether you vibe to another artist's music or not, you have to be grateful that they're making music, because at the end of the day, our aim as artists is to keep music alive. And anyone that's making music, to me, is like a hero, because you're keeping the cycle going. If everyone stops making music, there's no more, like, we only have the old music, which is amazing, but we have nothing new. So anyone that's making music, just big up yourself, because whether I vibe to it or not, you're keeping it going. Like,
It's interesting. I mean, that's a good way to leave it on, man. Just keep making music and keep doing
everyone just keep making good music. Good music.
Well, good music is subjective.
But then it's subjective. That's what I mean. Like, whether I vibe to it or not, big up yourself, because you're just keeping it going, and someone will like it. Like, so yeah.
Well, on that note, I do have my best of British Spotify playlist, which is R&B and soul, and then also rap.
I saw that.
Yeah, just to clarify, if I don't like your music, it's not going on the playlist, because I keep it real. I'm not trying to waste anyone's time out here. You know, if I don't
listen to it, if you don't like it, don't put it on there.
Of course, because I think that's doing a disservice to the artist, and I also believe that just because I don't like it, someone else who runs another playlist or someone else who's on another radio show won't like it.
That's it.
I was having this conversation the other day, is that sometimes artists can be a little bit sensitive about their work, so maybe
no hard feelings. Rob, listen to it. Don't like it, leave it out.
It's my two. It was actually my 2 rules for radio as well. You know, if it's clean version, because it's going on radio. If I like it, it'll get played. If those 2 aren't ticked off, then that's why it hasn't been played. So,
but do you know what? I love that, because it means that when you do get play, it's because the DJ actually liked you. He wasn't paid to play you. He wasn't coaxed into playing you. Like, he actually liked your song, and he decided to put it on the radio or on a playlist. So I actually prefer that. So yeah.
I think that's more, like you said, I think it's just more authentic, and I think it's just being honest, because there could be someone who's really, really bad, but someone, like you said earlier, someone's just putting them on the radio or putting them here because they've taken a kickback somewhere, or they know this person, that person. I just don't think that's real, and it's not fair to artists who are actually good. They don't get the fair exposure, and it's just stop dicking people about, bro. Do you know what I mean? So anyway. But so, like you said, the single's out now and available. The video's out now.
The video's out now, yeah.
Next one's coming out in November, next single.
Yes, November.
And the EP's coming out in February, March of 2021, providing we get it through 2020.
Yeah.
And
you're doing well
any
with
lessons
the facts,
you want to
bro.
impart to... Yeah, the facts. I work on facts only. I'm not into this in the feelings R&B shit. So, so any lessons you want anyone to take, or anything that you want them to take from your music as a final thought?
I feel like, well, Million Bucks especially is about knowing your worth and basically shouting it from the rooftops and sticking by your worth basically through anything. I feel like when I play Million Bucks, if I look like crap, I listen to that song and I feel like a million bucks. So if anyone can listen to my music and feel like that, then my job
Oh,
is
I'm losing
done.
her. Shit.
Oh, hello?
Yeah.
Yeah, then my
Yeah,
job
so
is
I'm
done.
losing you a little bit. Sorry.
Yeah, did you catch that?
I caught about the listen to the song when you feel like crap.
Yeah, so when I feel like crap, I listen to Million Bucks and I feel like a million bucks, but I actually do.
Yes.
So I said I feel like if anyone else listens to that song and it makes them feel that way, then my job is done. Yeah.
Cool. That's what we're going to be taking from Million Bucks, which is available now, and I like it, so I might go on the playlist. I think that's fine.
Yay.
That's fine. Yeah. So thanks for taking the time to speak to
Thanks
us
for
as well.
having me.
For those who tuned in as well, if you missed any of the interview, it will be available on YouTube, SoundCloud, Spotify, etc. Just look for Your Host Rob. It's the best of British. Thanks again, Say Anisha, but we'll go by Say Music. Thanks very much for taking the time to come and speak with me, and you have a good evening.
That's all right. Have an amazing night.
No worries. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye. All right, guys, thanks very much. That's going to be available on YouTube. If you want to watch it, get it up as soon as possible, and it's going to be available on SoundCloud and Spotify and whatnot. The links are already in my bio, so check it out. Thanks for those who have joined, who stopped in to say hello. Shout all you guys out. Tristan, Maha, we've got MDF playlists, and all you other guys, man. Thanks for stopping by, and peace out.